All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Episode number
54, baby.
How does that feel, Georgie? How do you feel about that?
I feel old. It's been a long time coming. 54.
What are you on about?
I don't know. It's how long has it actually taken us to get to 54, which is embarrassing, to be honest.
I would say probably
2
close
years.
to 2 years.
Yeah. I guess you guys started this before I was even involved.
A year. So
54 is a weird number because it's not like it's just like one of those episodes that's gonna get lost at some point
Until we make it great.
So should we finish it right now? Or
just cut it. Just move. We should just start doing them in tens. So this should be like episode 60 and then the next one 70. That way every single episode feels like a milestone.
So what you're saying is we should lie to our fans. Got it.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit rusty with the switching of the camera angles because we haven't done this in how long has it been?
It's been over a month.
A week or two? A month?
It's been a month.
A week?
Bro.
A month?
I'm gonna say it's been 3 weeks.
No.
I say a month.
I think it's been 3 weeks. I don't know.
For real?
I have no
But
idea.
anyway, let's get straight into it because we always take forever in the intro. Shout outs. What do you got?
I got a shout out.
Ooh, he's got a shout out.
My boy Gus. The only reason he gets a shout out because he texted me earlier and he said, I have a team, 7v7, Melvindale, indoor for the winter. I need an attacking player. And he texts me.
He's like, do you know anyone, George?
I was going to say, he texted you to find somebody?
He texts me as an attacking player. So shout out to my boy Gus. And I said, no, I can't make it. So, but the thought counts.
It felt good.
Yeah, it felt good. An attacking player, me, hell yeah. It felt amazing.
What about you, Joe? What do you got?
Shout out to my boy Alex. He's getting married on Sunday. So shout out to him.
All right. Shout out to Alex.
Is that Alex the goalkeeper?
No.
Oh. Well, still shout out to Alex. Congrats on marriage. Sounds fun.
Georgie wouldn't know. Georgie's too busy right now because he's reading a book, as you guys can see. Georgie came up to me and he's like, hey, listen, I'm struggling. I watched Liverpool. I struggle to know what's going on in the game. Do you know what I can do to just kind of better understand the game of football? So I let him borrow this book by Ruud Gullit, How to Read Football, or How to Watch Football, How to Analyze Football. How far are you in? 3 pages in, Georgie?
First sentence.
And then he realized it was in
English.
Then he realized it was in Spanish, and there was no chance he'll read the book.
All right. I do not have a shout out today, which is interesting because typically I always have a shout out. You busters don't ever have any shout outs. But
That's what I mean. You're definitely.
Yeah, he is rusty.
I'm a little rusty. It's all right.
rusty.
Listen, don't talk about rust right now because I've been cranking out videos for this channel for the last 3 weeks since the last time we uploaded an episode. I've been cranking out videos.
Yeah, I've been watching. Why are you wearing hoodies?
Well,
you can't
because
tell
today,
it's cold up here.
Today I was wearing a hoodie because I was talking about Liverpool, and I had the Arsenal shirt on.
So-
I just don't want people to click the video and be like, "Why is this guy talking about Liverpool?" And then they click out of the video before they hear what I have to say.
Yeah, I'm going to
Were
say
you,
something.
were you wearing your Liverpool hoodie?
No, just a regular like Adidas hoodie.
Okay.
But sometimes I wear the Liverpool hoodie.
Look, let's be honest. This channel has turned into. Javi's become a Liverpool fan. Let's be honest.
No. I'm just honest.
He's not.
I'm just
He's
honest.
just a Liverpool employee.
That is true.
That is true.
You love Arne Slot.
I appreciate Arne Slot.
No, you love him.
I didn't know who he was before he came to Liverpool. I had no idea. I just knew that he was the Feyenoord coach or whatever. They had done pretty well. And then he comes here and, yeah.
Weren't you just saying off camera he was a fraud?
No, Georgie was saying he was a fraud off
I
camera.
will never say that
What?
to my mans.
Georgie doesn't say anything
It's his
bad about
birthday.
Liverpool. This is the part that pisses me
Today's
off
his
about
birthday?
Georgie.
Yeah,
Georgie will
today's
never
his
say a
or
bad
today or
thing.
tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Arnie.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're listening.
I think it was today.
I don't know the time difference. I don't know if it's today isn't tomorrow.
But
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I'm honest.
You're not honest.
I am honest. I will tell you my opinion. When
Well,
people
of course.
do things, no. But when people do things that are good, I'll like tell people like why I think they did things that are good, and then when they do things that are stupid, I'll call them out for that too.
Okay, what Arnie do that's stupid.
No, I think Arne's done a great job in his start. The only thing I said, and this wasn't even a criticism on him, it's just about the fact that he hasn't had enough time, was I just said that the teams right now in the Premier League or in the Champions League should play a low block. If you're not going to be Manchester City, Arsenal, Real Madrid, maybe one or two other teams out there in the world, you should play low block against Liverpool because Arne Slot hasn't had to deal with it. He prefers to play against teams with the high press or play mid block.
So what was your point?
So no, I'm just saying that there was no criticism whatsoever.
Oh,
There's no criticism. I criticized people like
so
Big Ainge
Oh, well, he's
because
going
Big
to
Ange is he's gonna get sacked. I criticize people like Ten Hag because he's gonna get sacked, and I appreciated Maresca a little bit, even though I did criticize Maresca a little bit as well, though. But I'm just saying I'm honest. This is the thing. You're not a real Liverpool fan.
Wow, this is starting out
He's
hot.
not. He's not.
This is starting out aggressive.
Georgie has
Ladies
not
and
said one
gentlemen.
bad thing about Liverpool.
What do you mean I haven't said one bad thing
You
about
never
Liverpool?
say anything bad about Liverpool.
I just said...
Or besides the generic stuff of like they didn't have a good performance or whatever like that.
what do you want me to say?
I think you should be honest and be like, we need to get rid of this player. He's not good enough.
You'll
never say that.
Who would be the one player on the Liverpool squad right now that you think doesn't cut the mustard, as they say? Actually, I don't know if anyone says that, but I think they do.
I don't think I've ever heard that. But,
Joe's making shit up now at this point.
but one Liverpool player that I would get rid of right now,
Yep.
or the one Liverpool player that is not fitting in.
You see what I'm saying? Even the way he phrases it doesn't
No,
make it
because
look bad.
there's a difference. Because my opinion compared to it can be different.
I'll just go with yes. You can pick either one.
Okay, either one. My boy Endo will have to go just because I like him, but I don't think Arnesa will play a 6 like him. Like me and Endo play the same, so I would never play under Arnesa.
Why? Because you're too attacking of a 6?
I'm too like my boy Gus said. I'm too an attacking of a 6. Yeah.
Fair?
See?
Okay.
See the way this is what pissed me off. The way he even says it.
Listen, I
like
criticize
oh, he's
Liverpool
not a bad person. I like him. I
He's
like
not a
him.
bad
He just doesn't fit into our
I
system.
didn't say
Just say he's shit and he's had bad performances for Liverpool.
He's not shit.
He's not good enough.
He had a good 7-minute performance today.
Has the best 7 minutes of his Liverpool career.
Well, this is the only 7
The
minutes.
last
he
7
played.
minutes. The last 7 minutes of his Liverpool career as well.
Why are you hating on Endo?
I hate Endo because I don't think
Whoa,
he's
you
good
do
enough.
hate Endo?
No, I don't hate Endo. I don't hate Endo, but he's not good enough. Let's be honest. He's not good enough.
You didn't say that last season.
There's certain I can tell you that there's certain players who like you put on for specific moments. That you're like, oh, if we need somebody who's a little bit more of a ball winner, you put this guy in.
Yeah.
Somebody like if you need somebody who's a little bit more creative, you put this guy in.
Like Endo today.
But no. You put Endo today because the game's already won and you want to give the guy minutes because you feel bad.
No, because you want to shut the game down. It's 3-1.
Please shut the game. The game's been shut down. Liverpool had no threat whatsoever besides the first 3 minutes of the match.
What do you mean? Leao hit the crossbar in the last 7
Yeah,
minutes.
it's all I hit it like 6 times in the game.
Yeah, but okay.
All I'm saying though is like
What does that have to do?
what I'm saying is this is that clearly
No, clearly you hate
You guys
Endo.
have
Endo, I
lost
don't
the
hate
plot,
him.
and we are
don't hate him.
collectively,
Yeah,
I
what-
think 4 minutes into this podcast.
Endo
I think
Endo's
we're
just not good enough.
8 minutes.
have
and
we
Javi
even,
hasn't
have we
said
even
anything.
gotten to the recap yet?
No, we haven't.
Oh.
No,
We'll get into
Javi,
that right
no,
now.
Forget this. You hate Endo.
Forget the pre-cap.
Listen, you hate Endo.
I'm
do
sorry.
not-
I would like to apologize to our faithful listeners. You've kept around for 54 episodes. And as you could tell, it's getting worse by the day.
No. I don't hate Endo, but
No,
I
you
think,
just said on camera
Can't
you
even
hate
get him
Endo.
back on track.
I think he's just not good enough. There's times where you can say like, look, he's just not good enough. Regardless of whatever he does well or whatever, he's not good enough. He struggled. He's
Well,
not
good
good.
thing Arne doesn't listen to your ass. Because my boy Endo sticking around, he's gonna prove all the haters wrong.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He had 3 tackles today.
You know who I do
7
hate though? You know who I do hate? I'll tell you who I hate.
Oh God, Joe.
I hate Enzo Maresca
You just said you
and
praised.
Thiago Motta. Now I hate him
Why do you hate him?
because they're fake.
Oh.
Oh, because
this
what
a
we just talked. Yeah. Okay, let's just
Let's
get
just,
into
we'll
it.
get
All right,
to-
let's-
it's not a segment.
we'll get-
I think we've already covered all the topics. It's been a great episode, everybody. We'll see you next time for episode
All right,
55.
Let's get into the pre-cap. Let's get into the pre-cap. Pre-cap is Premier League and Champions League roundup because the Champions League started today. Today was the first day of the Champions League.
Yep.
New format and everything.
Yes.
We got the fantasy standings, the fantasy Premier League standings. If you are
I don't wanna look.
on our league, Joe's got the updated standings, which we'll talk
Some
about.
of you all are killing it. And the names, spot on.
Fantastic. I want to talk a little bit about Pochettino and Vasco Aguirre's first matches in charge because the international break just finished. Both of them have coached 2 official matches now. Well, sorry, not Pochettino. Sorry.
I was like, whoa.
US has
I was
played.
wondering, I'm like, wait, did he?
Vasco Aguirre has played the 2 matches.
Yeah.
Pochettino hasn't, but I want to talk about the 2 matches prior to Pochettino's arrival.
Don't worry, we have no international break in like 3 weeks. Don't worry about it.
So much international.
Pointless.
And then a little bit about the VAR room, and today is actually about VAR because there was an incident over the weekend and a couple of incidents over the weekend that has me with some questions. All right, so we're going to talk a little about VAR.
Javi is very triggered lately. I don't know what's going on.
been a long
I feel
day.
like he's been cooped up in his
It's been
house
a
or
long
something,
day.
and he's got some pent
I've been watching these kids for like the last 6 days. To be fair, Georgie's helped out a lot. Georgie's been watching my kids quite a bit, so today he had to do a
Yeah, we
longer
went to the
shift.
park. By the way, I went to the park. We'll talk about it later.
You want me to add that to the precap? And then
Georgie's park visit.
And then I thought what would be cool is to add a segment called Question of the Day. We'll ask you guys a question, maybe sometimes a general question, sometimes a very specific scenario, and we'll see. We'll kind of just debate it a little bit because I think it'll give us some good content for the viewers to also participate in, and they can post their responses to the question of the day.
Whatever the question is, it's endo for me.
That's definitely not endo for this one.
Okay.
It's definitely not endo. And then we'll finish it off with the sports card segment, which once again, we'll bring it back to Joe. And Joe will ask us the value of a specific player's trading card. And Georgie and I will have to guess to see who gets the closest. Price is Right rules.
I already know that the guy you're going to ask.
He's going to ask endo. All right.
Probably doesn't have a card.
So let's get into it then, because there, as you guys can see from the intro, there's already some rants that are going to be happening in today's episode. Georgie, let's just get straight into Liverpool. Disappointing performance. Nottingham Forest 1-0, and the match was at Anfield, right?
Yes, it was.
So first loss of the Arne Slot era. Nottingham Forest playing in a low block. Counterattack beats Liverpool 1-0. Give us your thoughts on the performance.
I posted a tweet towards the end of the game, and I said, I don't think I've ever seen for fuck's sake. Look, this is what I mean.
Leave the football before the football leaves you, Georgie.
give me my Buddha back. Anyway, I can't even.
His head's gone. Head's gone.
Uh-oh.
No, what I said was, I've never seen, and I've watched plenty of games my whole entire life. I've never watched a game where individual players and as a team collectively make so many wrong decisions in a game. When you're supposed to pass, but they choose to shoot. When you're supposed to shoot, you pass. Everything was completely the opposite.
You must not watch Darwin often.
Listen, Darwin was the best player on that field. No, literally, I think, and usually when you have a team play, sometimes you have 2 or 3 bad players and have bad performances, and then you have 7 that are okay, and then 1 stand out. At that game, you had 8 or 9 awful performers, and then whoever came from the bench didn't raise the level at all. And you had 1 or 2 that were okay, and then that was it. You didn't have any stand out. Everything was just bad. With that being said, I think Liverpool were just bad, and I don't think it was Nottingham Forest. I know a lot of people were talking about Liverpool's tactics didn't work. Slot used to change this rotation, blah blah blah, whatever it may be. Maybe he could have rotated because people just came from the international break. All the same players played the previous games. Some of them played 2 matches in the international break, traveling, whatever. I get that, but I don't think it was the tactics. Liverpool got in the positions they usually do. For me, if you're playing against a team and they do things, let's say in the low block, right? Liverpool still had their opportunities to score. It's not like Liverpool were kept out and Nottingham Forest did so well that you're like, oh my God, their game plan is working amazing, and
right.
Liverpool can't get through and don't have a shot. They can't get a chance or anything. Liverpool had their opportunities. It's just a matter of making the wrong decision. I haven't seen Salah pass the ball to opposition center backs, and especially the second half, between Salah and Trent, I don't think they completed a pass. It was that bad. And I don't think I've ever seen neither of them so off. Salah would dribble, take on a player, beat him, and then try to lay it off on top of the box for a shot or inside the box. Passes it straight to Nottingham Forest's center back. It's how there's no, and it didn't happen once or twice. It happened at least 4 times that I remember. Same exact thing. Trent gets on the ball. He played more in the midfield the second half. He got on the ball, hits the ball every single time, goes for a goal kick every single time, for a throw-in every single time. It's you don't usually see stuff like that. At least once or twice you see them with their brilliance and their quality. But I just think it was an off day. Not so much what Nottingham Forest did. And obviously the game plan worked because on the counter, fair. But I don't think it was so much what Nottingham Forest did. I think it was just Liverpool individually as players weren't good enough. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was anything tactical. I don't think Arne Slot. That's why when I said, a lot of people took offense when I said I don't think Arne Slot has any blame in the loss, because for me, when I look at a tactical point of view and when I watch the game, if a team is shutting you out and forcing you to play a certain way, then I'll be like, okay, you know what? Tactics are working. But when you're still getting to those areas and your players are just not completing a pass, that's not on the coach. Like,
That's
it's
on
just,
them,
it's like,
could you argue it's on the coach to get them mentally ready for it? Like, do you think some of them were distracted coming back from international duty? They're thinking ahead to Champions League already.
I mean,
Like, it's a game you should.
Yeah.
I mean, Nottingham
That
Forest at
could
home
be-
if you're going to win
yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
To me, it's a game you have to win. And I agree with you. I
Yeah.
don't think tactically it was anything.
I just don't think, I think it was individually,
They didn't have the brilliance
Bad.
that they need.
yeah.
And
like
in some games you need
the quality, yeah. And there's nobody that stood out individually. Gravenberg was the best player.
Yeah.
And
He's
that
been
was-
the best player for you guys, I feel like, in a
yeah.
lot of games.
First 5 games of the season, he's been the best player by far.
He's
It's
been
not
great.
even close. But
I'm going to say this. The reason why I think teams need to play in a low block, only if they're not as good on the ball as Liverpool, is because that's the only way that you can at least draw Liverpool out. The reason I think that teams will have success is because Arne Slot wants Liverpool to play. They want him to possess. And naturally, when a team possesses, they little by little they start creeping forward, and then they start committing more numbers up top. Whereas in the transition, it's only like a few of the players or one or two of the lines that make those runs to go up top. So I think if you play a low block, you're essentially just drawing them out. And then if you have good enough quality in the counterattack, which Nottingham Forest has, Alanga, who used to play for Manchester United, Callum Hudson-Odoi, who everybody knows is a really good player, and then you have someone like
Morgan Gibbs-White.
Morgan Gibbs-White, but Chris Wood, what's his name?
as a
Chris Wood,
target.
right?
Yeah.
The target forward from New Zealand that we went to go watch, who is like smart enough to know how to hold up the ball when they need an outlet.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's a team like Nottingham Forest. And to be fair, all credit goes to them because 2 of the opportunities that they had to score on Liverpool weren't easy opportunities. It's not like they went like 3 versus 1. The goal specifically, I mean, it was still like 2 versus 4.
Yeah, no,
and he
that's-
just played a brilliant pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Callum Hudson-Odoi cuts in and has a really good
And
finish.
Bradley should do better.
Bradley should have done better.
Like that's what I mean. Like if we were counting the counter and it was like 3v1 or 3v2, whatever, and they had more numbers, then I'm like, okay, Liverpool is kind of pressing too much. Tactically, something's off. But when you're 4 against 2 and you have your defenders back, and you have 2 like 1-on-1 or whatever, then I'm looking at it as like it's not really tactical. It's just that's a failure.
Players didn't make plays.
Yeah,
At
like
the end
as
of the day,
simple as that.
players make plays.
But I was going to defend Liverpool more than most of the people because I was like, you guys didn't play bad. If you look at if you wouldn't have created any opportunities or not enough opportunities, I would have been like, yeah, something's off. You guys needed to do a little bit more. I counted 4 really good opportunities that Liverpool in most other situations would score.
Yeah,
It was the Luis Diaz hits the post. Jota gets a cross in that he should score. He's like
McAllister
right
outside the
outside 6. McAllister with the header. And there was one more, I believe. I can't remember who it was. But I counted like 4 opportunities that game's 0-0. If you score one of those, Nottingham Forest plan goes out the window. You guys go. I guarantee you guys score 2 or 3 more after that. You guys win the game 2 or 3-0. Everybody talks about how amazing that performance was. Yeah. It didn't break down in the build-up. It broke down in the, like you said, in the decision-making in the final third of just that last pass or that last finish. So like when people started criticizing, I'm like, why are you guys so upset about the game? It was one of those games that you got really unlucky, and Nottingham Forest, the one opportunity or one of the 2 opportunities that they had, took a lot of quality, but they somehow managed to do it. I mean, it was brilliant play by Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
But your boy Arne Slot.
Drops points. It is what it is.
Slot out.
It's what Twitter be saying. I was fighting for bro. I'm telling. There's actually people that actually believe that.
Already?
Yeah. Slot out. There was a bunch of people on Twitter going crazy.
I think it was before you got here. Javi and I were talking a little bit off air about how, like, if you're Arne Slot, if you look at your first, what now? They have 4 games in for the Prem and then 1 Champions League game. First 5 games, 5 wins and 1 loss.
4 wins, 1 loss.
Or 5 games. Yeah, 5 games and 4 wins, 1 loss. I think they're playing well. And to your guys' point, that game could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So
Especially after the transfer window that everybody was freaking out that Liverpool had a nightmare in the transfer window. They lost their main target. The only other guy they got was a guy that Juventus didn't want. So that's the things. Like after that transfer window, people would have been like, "Oh, we're gonna have a shit start. This is not gonna be a good season. We didn't start right." 4-1.
But
pretty
that's the
impressive.
thing. This is what, like, once you have like a specific agenda and a narrative of like what you want to happen, like transfer window, as soon as Liverpool lost, what do you think the first thing was? It's why I told you.
Right.
That
Yeah,
all
we
the
needed to
people,
buy players.
I told you so. We should have bought players.
However, if I'm going to be a little bit critical, you guys have only played Manchester United,
Yeah.
right? To be fair.
Sure.
So like the other teams that you guys have played are teams that Manchester City would go 4-0.
Oh yeah. Easily.
Arsenal probably would go 4-0. So the fact that and you did play Manchester United, so you did play a good team or a team that was a team that's supposed to be hard. You guys made it look easy, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think if you guys would have played like, let's say, Arsenal or Manchester City in one of those first matches, things might have been a little bit different. It's super early.
Yeah, you can't. Am I happy with the start? Yeah, but it's way too early to even talk about.
Before we get into Arsenal and the amazing performance that they had, brilliant weekend.
Was it an amazing performance though?
It was the necessary performance.
It's a champion's performance.
It was
exactly.
But
Yes.
before we get into that, I feel like we always go Liverpool, Arsenal first. Let's give some other teams a little bit of love here.
Why? They're all shite.
Chelsea 1-0. And Nkunku scores late in the game. Little toe poke.
Against Bournemouth. Is that when Sanchez
I
saved the
watched
penalty
that game.
too?
I watched that game.
Is that the game I'm thinking of? Sanchez penalty save in that game?
I don't know if it was a penalty save, but I know
That's what it
Nkunku
was.
scored the game winner.
There was Sanchez, yeah.
Yeah, right?
He had a lot of good saves, yeah. Yep. Bournemouth played amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Areola is a good coach, man. Areola is a very good coach.
Especially after losing
Solanke.
Solanke and still performing that well.
So good.
So where does Chelsea stand right now? And what do you make of the whole Ben Chilwell gets to be back in training? I said this in one of my videos. I'm like, the dude's just going to go train with the U17s or whatever, collect his paycheck and go home. Enzo Maresca says there is no possibility for any of these players to get back in. They need to find a new home. There's no way for them to get back in. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, Ben Chilwell's probably going to be back training with us. We'll see. We have to talk about it. Next thing you know, he's back in the squad. What do you think, Georgie? What do you make of that?
I like Maresca. I've been Maresca in since the beginning. I watched the inside the training stuff, all the clips, all the videos. I watched him at Leicester a little bit last season. I can't say I watched every game, but from the stuff that I've heard and things that I've watched, I've been a big fan. I don't like the contradicting BS that he's on about because you don't do that. Mm-hmm. Sterling.
Why do you think he did that though?
Well, he doesn't have a choice. What is he going to do? Terminate his contract?
No. But they could say whatever. He's gonna just train with the U17s or whatever, and he's gonna. Sorry, we took a loss on this one. But do you think it was the Chelsea board who was like, look, we can't be paying this guy money and he's not doing anything, so you have to have him at least train with the team.
I haven't looked at his contract and all that. Like I don't know when it runs out. But if you think about it, if you're not gonna integrate him at all, and he's just training, his transfer value just completely goes down. So like let's say his contract runs out in like 2-3 years, then you're literally do you want to take a hit on all the wages and you're gonna let him go on free, or are you gonna get some type of money for him in January potentially? And if he's training and potentially plays a cup game or something, then there's a bigger chance of him going out, like somebody to buy him. Because if he's just training with the U17s, people are gonna be like, okay, you don't need him anyway. We'll buy him for 5 mil, 10 mil. Like maybe if he plays a game or two, does decent, sell for 20, 30, something like that. But I just don't like my problem. It's not that you're changing your mind. It's the problem that with Sterling, you came out and said, we're not doing this with Sterling. And he named 2 or 3 players. He's like, we're not doing this. And then you pretty much said, like Sterling's camp came out and said that, well, we don't really know where we stand. And then he comes out and says, we've talked. Everybody knows where they stand. I've publicly made this, like, I've told you, blah, 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 all this. And then you pretty much force Sterling out in a terrible way that you're paying Arsenal to pretty much take him, which you're taking Arsenal to get a class player, and you're paying him his wages, which I don't know how Chelsea even thought that's a good deal. I'd rather just keep him rather than make a rival stronger. But anyway, you do that, and you force him out, and then you have Chilwell, who's supposedly in the same bracket as Sterling. You don't want him, and he has no training. He's not going to be part of your plans. And then you're like, oh, yeah, he started training. We're going to see what happens. Like, we're taking him back in. Like, you don't change your mind like that publicly. That's why all those things should be, it just looks weak on his part, in my opinion. Like, when you're contradicting yourself in the public eye. If you do it in person and you talk to the player and like, oh, look, you know what, we'll give you a chance, do this, whatever. That's private. Nobody knows about it. But now, if you're a player on the outside, it just kind of looks like it doesn't look right. So I'm not a big fan of that. But the way, like, it's 3 points against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a really good team. I think they're a really good team. So to be able to get 3 points away from home might be luck, because Bournemouth probably should have scored a few goals. But Sanchez came big a few times. As much as criticism he's got through his years at Chelsea, I thought he was really good. And then when you can bring players like Nkunku off the bench, it's different. Makes a difference.
What do you think, Joe?
I will say it does help in terms of bringing players like Nkunku, Sancho off the bench. When you look at just Chelsea's bench players, it is absolutely unreal. I did want to touch on the Maresco piece, though, about setting, like, to me as a leader and as a coach, when the players have to be able to trust what you say. And, like, it has to mean a ton. Like, because if you're going to say something, it has to be, like, what you believe in. And especially to your point about going public, that I think the only thing that Maresca's really kind of missed the boat on is saying these players are out. And hey, if you say they're out and then you can get the board behind you to pay Arsenal to take Sterling, although it's not a good, in my opinion, business move, but as a coach, at least you're proving, like, I'm going to follow through with my word. But then to come back, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and then flip-flop with Chilwell, it's one of those things. I feel like if I'm a player in that dressing room, is it going to be a big deal? No, because they probably all like Ben and they want him around and they think he's good, so, like, he can contribute, and they've been playing with him for a while. But I think in the back of their mind, they'll remember that as a point of, like, is everything he says true? Can you? Because to me, you can't act like the end all be all and then bend or break after that. It's actually one of the things I respected the most about people like Arteta. Pep's done it a few times, obviously, and doing it with players that are quality and sticking true to it, even if in the short term it could hurt you. I think Ten Hag actually did it with a few players as well. I don't know if he actually did it with Ronaldo, but there was that kind of spat type thing.
Well, he did it with Sancho.
You're right. He did it with Sancho. That's who it was. Yeah. That, whether you agree with the decision or don't agree with the decision, I believe most professionals and most grown adults can at least respect the person for sticking to their convictions, especially when you get the pressure from the media, pressure from supporters, pressure from the board. Like, that to me is what makes good managers elite, is that they believe in a certain thing and are willing to see that all the way through. Maybe there's new information that changed Maresca's mind, but if that's the case, I mean, it kind of just proves, I feel like he might have jumped the gun in terms of saying that. Maybe you think it, probably not something you go out and say, because also, too, what's the point of saying it? Because I don't think it helps your transfer situation, right? If you say he's not in our plans, all that tells other clubs is, oh, great, I can get him for cheaper, opposed to, hey, we like Ben, but we have a lot of options at the position, and we would be open to selling him potentially if the right offer came in. Like, if you really wanted him out, if that's me, that's how I'd approach it. But in terms of the game, Chelsea's, I just feel like you don't know what Chelsea you're going to get week in and week out. Some weeks they look absolutely amazing and they're rolling, and then some weeks they can kind of squeak by, and then some weeks they fall on their face. But I do think it's slowly working. What are they? I think in like eighth place or ninth right now. Yeah. What are they? 2 draws and 2 wins, I think.
2-1-1.
2-1-1. So it's still early. They have the players to do well, especially with the lack of competitions that they're in, and then leaving out like Cole Palmer and stuff from the European roster. So I think that they will make a run at the top 4.
This might be the first time that I actually say Erik ten Hag has done something right, because I think he should have hit Maresca. And same thing with Thiago Motta at Juventus, who said Weston McKennie is not part of his plans, and then Weston McKennie starting for a Champions League, is they should have never drawn the line if they weren't absolutely sure that was going to be the line. That was going to be the rule. Because the way that Ten Hag handled it with Sancho was he never said, like, he is no longer part of our team, we want him out, blah, blah, blah. He just said, like, he needs to apologize to me. Our relationship is not great right now. He knows what he needs to do or whatever. And until then, he's not part of the...
But he apologized, no?
And then he apologized.
And then
like
he brought him back into training.
And then, yeah. But he never said like he's no
Yeah,
longer
he's-
part of our plans. He's out. I want him out. I want him transferred or whatever. He just said like we've had a situation. He knows what he needs to do. And then eventually they came to terms or whatever, and they were fine. But he didn't. He wasn't like these guys who supposedly drew the line and then flip flopped or whatever. So, but anyway, Ten Hag, Manchester United, 3-0 win against Southampton. If you watch that match, that was not a 3-0 for Manchester United.
Not even
Southampton, surprisingly,
Also missed the pen, right?
yeah. Was it?
close. Dude,
I can't remember.
It was so long
this is the
ago,
problem.
but I
We did
swear
this
it
a
was.
few days ago.
It's like,
but
I'll look it
yeah,
up.
Southampton, a possession-based team.
they did miss the punt. Yeah, so
I was gonna
Onana
say,
saved it. Yeah,
and that was, I think,
That's
it
right.
would have made it 1-1.
That's right. And then 2 minutes later, I believe, is when
would have made it 1-0. No.
I think it was tied. It was tied 0-0 at that point.
Yeah.
He missed the pen. 2 minutes later, Manchester United gets the
The
goal.
Lick scores on the header.
But-
yeah, you're right.
It surprised me that Southampton, such a possession-style team, I looked at the stats. 68% possession in their first 3 matches in the Premier League. That's a lot of possession for a team that's Southampton.
Yep.
The only team that's completed more passes than them is Manchester City.
It's impressive.
And they just don't have enough quality in the final third. Manchester United somehow gets 3 goals and win the game comfortably, if you would call it that, but they were not good whatsoever. But saves Eric Ten Hag a little bit longer. The man is just like he just like squeezes by barely, and somehow this is his 3rd year at Manchester United. He's been there 3 years, when throughout his entire 3 years, every week he was close to being sacked.
Give him the lifetime contract, man.
I mean, it is one of those things. Again, if you can deliver trophies, you will buy like at some like, let's say they win the FA Cup again this year and they finish in 6th.
Hell no.
Does
I
he get
would-
the sack?
6th is a little too low in my opinion. Yeah, I think he's got to finish 5th lowest. It's a difference.
That's what was going to
It's
be
a
my follow-up
difference.
question.
No
is,
chance.
So
It's a
where is it?
Look, if I'm the board, I'm like, yo, we don't care about FA Cups at Manchester United. We don't care.
What if
It's
he wins the
great.
double, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup?
No. Listen, those cups are great when you can get them, but if you're not getting, if you get top 4 in that, yeah, he'll stay. But if you're
Top 4 is what you're saying it's required. No matter what else happens, he has to win top 4 to
no
keep his
top
job.
4 and the trophy, like
So if
then,
he just finished top 4, no trophy, he's out. If he's finished 3rd, no trophy.
no, I think top 4 he definitely stays.
Okay, so top
Like
4.
from Manchester United.
Yeah. So
Like,
top 4 is his. That's
yeah,
his. That's
like
his.
they have to. Yeah, if
goal
he gets
for
a
the season.
trophy, I think he's like even. To me, I
What European Cup are they in? Are they in Europa?
Are they in Europa? I don't even know. They might be in
Conference
Europa.
Europa Conference League? I don't know.
But
What about they win the treble, the Carabao Cup, whatever European Cup, and the FA
yeah,
Cup?
yeah, because then he qualifies for the Champions League by winning
Right.
Europa. But with Ten
But
Hag,
what if is it? I'm gonna look and see if it's.
I just
Conference League or
don't like the fact that he's like, I've won more. What did he say in that interview?
He's
too,
won
too?
more trophies than any other team besides Manchester City.
Do you know how stupid that sounds? That's the dumbest. Like,
not. What? He's stating facts.
yeah, but like in the context of everything, when you put it like that, do you know Arteta's laughing his ass off? He's like, yeah, please keep winning these trophies. Stay here for a lifetime. Or any other manager's laughing, literally laughing at Manchester United. I don't know how fans are still like. I don't know how there's anybody Ten Hag in.
Because you stick to the plan. Stick
What
to
is
the plan.
what's the plan?
Stick to the plan.
I don't know. No, but keep him. I'm all for keeping him. Let him win 3-4-0 against Southampton, against Ipswich,
Get pumped by Liverpool at home.
get destroyed by all the top teams, whatever. Just this is we've been talking about this ever since we started this podcast. When we talk about Ten Hag, what do we talk about? We talk about there's the
Stay at Man United because it's working out for everyone but Man United.
you go down a little bit against the big teams. As soon as the pressure cranks up a little bit, then your schedule becomes a little bit lighter, and you get like two good results in the balance. And I was like, oh, Manchester United, we're back. I'm excited. Yes, Ten Hag in. Then the next result is like a tie against a team that you should not be drawn against. And then 2-3 losses, and you're like, oh, man, Ten Hag out. And then that has just been the flow of Manchester United for 2 years.
Well,
and then they beat Barnsley today 7-0.
That's the thing.
And
They're
the
great.
audacity.
Your boy Anthony scored
Yeah.
a pen.
Oh, he took the pen? Oh, that's
Of course,
amazing.
for his confidence. And all the Manchester United fans, look at what we're doing. Look at what we're doing. I was like, bro,
At home against Barnsley.
Barnsley. This is how low the expectations are at Manchester United.
I wonder if Anthony took off his shirt in celebration.
They've
He
got a
probably
few,
did.
few big games coming up. Crystal Palace next, and then Europa League. Then Tottenham goes to Old Trafford.
Oh, that's the battle of who gets sacked first.
Then United goes after that to Villa. So
Oh God, yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Thank God thankfully they won against Southampton, because if they would have lost, he's getting the sack by Aston Villa.
Yep.
A manager that is going to get the sack pretty soon, I would say, Sean Dyche. I want to talk about Everton a little bit because this is important, because this could be completely different though. This could be completely different. So they lost today in penalties against Southampton in the EFL Cup, right?
Jeez.
They lost before this. They lost against Aston Villa 3-2 over the weekend.
After leading 2-0.
Yeah, and then they lost to Bournemouth 3-2 after leading 2-0, and then before that they beat Doncaster 3-0 in the EFL Cup. But then they lost 4-0 to Tottenham and 3-0 to Brighton. But the last 3 matches, they've gone up. So the last one, they went up by 1 goal. But the 2 before that, they went up by 2 goals and then gave up 3 goals in the last 20 minutes of the game or whatever. So Sean Dyche is getting the sack.
He's smart.
How's he smart?
I know what he's doing.
What's he doing?
He knows he's gonna get the sack, so he's betting against himself when they go up 2-0. Man is onto something. You know how much money people have made on those scores? Crazy. Tons.
I mean, you really think people are making bets that
Everton lose? Yeah, probably. But
that
Sean
Bournemouth
Dyche
is going to come back at Goodison Park?
What did we talk about Everton on the last podcast? I think that was one of my teams that I said, one of the managers that we talked about was going to get sacked, Sean Dyche. I don't know how you go into a season with a manager like that after last season, of how they're running towards the end of last season, how they ended, and how bad they started. And I don't know how you're in Everton, because Everton's not a small team.
No,
let's be honest. Like, as much as I want to hate them because they're Liverpool, they're in Liverpool and all that, rivals, well, supposedly rivals, not really, but like it's not a Burnley, where it's not a Luton Town. It's an established Premier League team that should be doing a lot better than they are. And if I'm the owner, even though the owners are terrible as well, to getting deducted points and not following all those rules, but anyway, you go into a season with Sean Dyche and you're like, you know what? Yeah, this is good. Yeah, we're in a good spot. No, nobody in their right mind thinks that. Why are you thinking that?
I think that they thought they were going to get into a relegation battle again, and that's why. That's why they kept him. 'Cause he's always, who wins so many relegation battles and somehow stays up. Sean Dyche, we're keeping him.
Yeah.
And now they're in one, but they can't go down really because they're building that new stadium. Like, imagine if they go down. They can't.
It's a nice stadium too.
It's a gorgeous stadium right on the water.
Right on the water.
It looks awesome.
Yes.
They literally cannot go down.
Georgie just wants them to stay up because that's Liverpool's rival in the derby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Merseyside derby will be no more.
So Georgie wants them to stay up because you want somebody to beat up on every time you guys have a derby.
Yeah. To be fair, they beat us last season, so I can't really say much. But I don't to me, Sean Dyche is
fucking legend, mate.
Look, he's in the Premier League. He's a manager, so obviously he's doing something right. So who am I to say he's not a good manager? But to me, he's awful. So any Everton fan that I talk to has been Sean Dyche out since last season. I don't know how the guy is still there. Obviously, to Joe's point, yeah, they thought they were going to be in the, but
that's the only logical thing that makes sense in my brain.
But think about this. Let's keep the guy that doesn't put us in the relegation battle just so he could potentially keep us out of it.
Oh yeah, man.
Big Sam, bring him on, man. Big Sam is coming for sure.
Yeah, Big Sam's got to be in retirement.
You think
No, Moyes
he might be coaching.
You think Allardyce is the first?
No, I think Moyes.
No. I mean, you think he's the first manager to get the sack, and if so, when?
Oh, Sean Dyche?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get the first. Oh, who do they play next?
We'll check in a second, but he's lost. He's the only team, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He's the only team in the Premier League right now.
Him and Southampton.
Oh, them and Southampton.
Southampton is different because
they go Leicester away, Crystal Palace at home,
those two games.
Newcastle at home.
If they don't get 4 points out of those 2 games, he's done.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
And then Ipswich after that.
The next manager to get the sack is going to be.
I already know where you're going with this.
Big Ange.
Yeah, you're so
what a
happy.
performance from the Arsenal. We mentioned it right now in the intro. Joe.
Yes.
What kind of a performance was that?
Well, Georgie kind of took the words out of my mouth, but I would say it's a championship performance. I'd also say it's just shows how far Arteta has brought our club in such a short period of time. Because to go into that game and not have Odegaard, to go into that game and not have Rice, arguably two of our most pivotal, influential players, keep a clean sheet, score on, I will say, a questionable goal, because I was the first to complain about Gabriel getting pushed last season against Newcastle. And then who I think Bruno scored, or forget who it was. Might
Yeah, but that was different, though.
It was
That was
actually
different.
I think it was pretty similar.
To be fair, I didn't watch the game and I have no idea, so I didn't even look at the highlights.
But I will say it's just I saw a stat and it was talking about Arsenal. I think it's like 1,000 minutes away from home. We haven't given up a goal and we haven't been down. And it just proves, I think, the mentality that the boys have going away from home is we are good enough on set pieces. We will get chances. We are good enough on counters. We will get chances in a game. We don't have to go chase it. Priority number one is keep them to 0 or 1 goal, and then we can, over 90 minutes, be composed enough to find what we need. And I mean, it was a tight game, but with us being able to do that right after an international break and without, like I said, Rice and Odegaard, I love it. And Jurrien Timber is a fucking animal, and I'm really excited to see how it goes this season, assuming he can stay fit, knock on wood, because defensively, man, we're great. We are absolutely phenomenal defensively. And when you have Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, Sterling, Havertz, Odegaard, like there's only going to be a handful of games I think we don't score. And with the defense that we have and with Riot and in net, it's setting up to be a good season. I just hope we can get Marino back soon. I hope we can get Rice back soon, because you can only, I think, have those types of performances without some of your key players so many times, so, but.
Did Sterling play?
I don't think
I can't remember. He might have come on at the end, maybe. I don't remember, but I'll tell you who I think was the most influential person in that match, and has been for Arsenal, that you would never guess.
Big Ange,
that you would never guess. Nope. Even better. Guess. Who's been absolutely instrumental in
White.
Arsenal's success and will continue to be one of the main reasons why Arsenal will win the Premier League and why they'll defeat some big teams like Tottenham.
I have two guesses that you're David Raya or Ben White. Or
Nope.
Two guesses. No? Neither?
Neither. You can go through the whole Arsenal lineup and you'll not guess it.
It's the coach? Salt Bay?
Nope.
Oh, the set piece coach?
Nicholas Jover, the set piece specialist coach. Even Rio Ferdinand said some good things about him. Because he said, like, Rio
then
Ferdinand's
you
like,
know it's not true.
Rio Ferdinand's like, I used to hate
Anything
standing
Rio
around.
says is completely opposite.
It's crazy because set piece coaches have only been around a little bit. They haven't been around for very long. Recently, they've started to become like a staple of every big team. Like every big team now has a set piece coach. And when you think about the actual statistics, somebody did some research and was like, the first set piece coach, right, did some research and was like, shit, this is how many games their goals are scored off set pieces. I can make a living out of this.
Yeah,
like if I convince Premier League clubs or big clubs, like, hey, I can get you another 10, 15 goals this season just off of set pieces, they'll hire me. And Arteta said some good things about him, but it's funny because every single time you see a corner kick or a set piece, he's standing in Arteta's spot, like in the front of like at the top of the box, like talking to people and directing people where they need to be. And then as soon as they score, obviously they celebrate with him because he's a set piece coach. And Arsenal have been one of the best, if not, I'll go ahead and say it. They've been the best team at set pieces in the Premier League. Corner kicks, it's almost like when you have that much confidence because you know exactly what you're doing is working, you almost always know, like, there's a higher chance that we're actually going to score than we're not going to score.
Yep.
And just like things that you've never thought of. Like I would always tell my teams, do not put the ball inside the 6 on a cross because who's going to come out and get it? Goalkeeper every single time. They're saying put the ball right in the center of the 6, inside of the 6, because we'll have one or two guys who pushes the goalkeeper away so the goalkeeper can't get it. So we'll solve that problem that way. Put the ball in a dangerous spot, and Gabriel's going to be better in the air than everybody else.
And I will say this goal was normal. This one was like in the center of the 6. A lot of ours are right at that front post, like the first yard or two of where and it's whipped. Rice and Saka do such a great job at whipping the ball in so low. Even if you don't get a great header on it on target, it's going to the back post, and the chances that someone gets a touch on it after that is.
And you guys have all tall players.
Yeah. Though it also makes me wonder, did we start getting all the tall players? Like, obviously we had Gabriel and Saliba, but then we started doing great at corners. We pick up Rice, we pick up Calafiori, like we pick up Marino. That it's one of those things where let's load up.
Marino is really good at headers too.
Let's load up with all these players, and it doesn't necessarily matter who's in there. We can whip great balls in.
But it's the other thing is that people don't realize the amount of research that goes into it, that I guarantee the set piece coach and Arteta and all the coaching staff got together and they're like, Vicario, for the size that he is one of the worst goalkeepers at coming out and like claiming his own box. So we got to take advantage of this in the set pieces. The reason why I say it was a necessary performance was because you have to perform in a way that's going to win you games in order to win the Premier League. Mm-hmm. If we would have gone out there and played the exact same way that we've played the first few matches, I think we would have lost the match.
Yep.
And I was talking about it before. I was like, okay, what is he going to do as far as lineup goes? And at first I was like, okay, he's not going to do the double six. He's not going to do Jorginho and Partey together. Because he likes Yuri and Timber to slip in the midfield. So he doesn't need three holding center mids, essentially, when they're building out. But then I thought about it when Martin Odegaard got hurt. I was like, well, he's going to do it because he knows he's not going to have as much possession of the ball as Arsenal usually do. So it's fine because now he'd rather have those two players to defend more than to help build in the attack. So I think that was smart. I think the research is really smart. And to your point, Joe, this happened at DCFC. Because I remember, for anybody who knows, me and Georgie I used to coach for DCFC. Georgie was a player, but in one of the years, we were very short and we lost to the Michigan Stars, because they beat us on set pieces and headers. They scored a couple goals on headers. And I remember being in the office with Trevor, the head coach at that time, and he was like, I need to find defenders who are tall because we need to be able to play against these teams that are going to beat us in the air. And the next season, we picked up Anthony Manning, who was like 6'4".
Made up for everybody else's.
Height, and and from that moment on, we never got beat by a team out of like balls in the air and things like that.
I'm disappointed that you didn't bring my name up in that conversation. That could have been my chance, Javi.
Yeah. He also asked for good footballers as well, so that's immediately eliminated.
Ones, huh? You just went with good, not great. That's fair.
But yeah, it was because even in that conversation, I was like, does it really make that much of a difference? Like, because we're sacrificing something. Like if you get a player who's 6'4",
yeah, but not with him. Now Anthony didn't sacrifice anything.
Right. And if you find that type of player, it's great. But typically, you're like, okay, you're going to get someone who's 6'4". That's great. But you're going to sacrifice somebody whose technical ability of playing out of the back and possessing and stuff like that. Do you want to really do that? We didn't do that with Anthony because he was fantastic for a player of his height. Which is why I was talking about Van Dijk. Me and Joe were talking about before you got here, Georgie, is like it's impossible to find a player like Van Dijk who is as tall and as big as he is, can move his body and like technically is as good as we were talking about. He could be a number 6.
Yeah,
he could have solved your 6 problems. You guys could have put Joe Gomez there. You guys could have put Kwanzaa, or between Joe Gomez, Kwanzaa, and Konate, you guys could have had another center back. But he also saves the day for you guys, so it's hard to take him out.
I will say I feel like that's just the way that the game's going though now, because look at how many tall players are dominant in their positions, like because they do have the athleticism and the technical ability to hang. But then when you add in their physical stature, they're literally and figuratively head and shoulders above others. You got Van Dijk, Haaland, obviously Mikel Merino. Like look at Rodri. I mean, I think Busquets was one of the first really tall 6s that worked. But then after that, you have people like...
That's why I like Calafiori.
Yeah. Another example of it, yeah. So it's...
he's pretty tall, right? He's
6'2", 6'1".
He's tall, but he's not as... Like, you could tell by the way he moves his body and the way he, like, dribbles a little bit. He's not as clean as Van Dijk.
Yeah, I mean, that's
different.
Van Dijk is, like, smooth. Like, Calafiori he's still clean. I'm a big fan of Calafiori.
Me too. Saliba and Van Dijk are different level in terms of, I think, their smoothness, as you called it, but we'll see.
So Premier League, we forgot to talk about Manchester City, but it's hard to talk about Manchester City when they do the same thing week in and week out.
Let Haaland whoop teams.
Haaland has more goals than every other team in the Premier League besides Manchester City right now. 9 goals in the first.
And they went down, right? They were to Brentford. They were down a goal.
Yeah,
in the first. Yeah, and if you watch the first
right away,
what was like the first 10 minutes of that match? Even Pep said it. He's like, I've never seen a team play the way that they played against us in those first 10 minutes. They were very, very good.
Yeah.
But Manchester City's Manchester City, and they're even better.
Yeah. Haaland is. Do you guys think he breaks his 35
One injury
goal?
away, I'm telling you, Man City.
For him? For Haaland?
Yeah. If Haaland gets injured, Man City are nowhere near.
Oh, of course. He's everything right now.
Especially with Alvarez out. Like they don't have a striker.
They don't?
Right?
No. They'd probably play with a false 9, I feel like. But
it just takes away.
But they have Savinho.
They do.
They got Savinho.
I do like Savinho a lot.
Savinho's great.
Savinho's
But
legit.
I'm already seeing some criticisms, not of Savinho, but of people saying that Pep is turning Savinho into like a different player. Like and they showed some highlights, they showed the clips, and like Savinho passes the ball. Where he's one of those players you have to give a little bit more freedom to like dribble and go at people.
Mm-hmm.
Similar Doku, it's like don't bring him onto the team because that's what he gives you, and then tell him to just pass the ball every single time he gets it at the top of the box.
We'll see.
I mean,
It's tough because
you work him into a system.
Yeah.
When that system works, you can't really.
Which is why I was surprised why he brought in Doku, because when you saw Doku for the first few games, you were like, this is not the Manchester City way. Like, dribble people down the wing and like.
I mean, Mahrez.
I think they're
But
getting
Mars
more.
was smarter.
They're getting more and more like that now, and less of the because they want people who can take people 1-on-1 and whip in a great ball. Because if you can do that, if you do that 5 times in a game, Haaland's going to score 2 to 5 goals.
Yeah. Look, I'm not the biggest Doku fan. He had 2 good games last season, and that was it.
But
I mean,
he has something though.
He does have.
You know what I mean?
He has
Like-
the one-on-one ability, but half the time, especially when I watched him during the international break, and I know it's different.
He struggled with Belgium for sure.
Dude,
I was actually disappointed at how he played for Belgium because I was really pumped to see him.
He got megged, and he was laughing after.
Yeah.
I don't even know who megged him, but yeah.
It's hard to find those players.
megged him.
It's hard to find those players though.
Yeah.
You can find good players technically on the ball that can pass the ball, not lose it, but it's hard to find the players who are like creative enough to want to go at people and be successful to do it.
And have that pace that once they're by you, you're not
Doku
You're
has
not
that
catching
pace,
it.
yeah.
The problem with those players is that they're inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And if you found somebody who could do it week in and week out, now you're talking about players that
are cut above
Like-
everyone. Like they're it's like
Messi.
That was exactly He was week
Besides
in and
that.
week out for 20 years.
But speaking of Haaland, we can kind of use this to transition into the next segment. Haaland is on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm smart. Like you can use your triple captain points or whatever, your triple points,
Triple captainship.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
And
tell he plays a lot.
You can use it every week for Haaland and get the maximum amount of points because that guy's going to score almost a hat trick every single match.
So you brought up I don't know. I woke up one night and I thought about it for some reason. You brought up the fact that people use their bench boost. Is that what you told me last time? They use it in a double week.
During the double game weeks a lot of times, yeah.
So what if I use my triple captain in a double week? Would it be
Same thing.
for 2 games?
Yep. That's why I'm very glad both
messed
of
up.
you have used your triple
I'm
captain
so
already.
stupid. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no.
I
That's why
thought
you
you-
should read the
yeah.
rules. But
I don't care. I use my triple.
Honestly, but I will say, like, you want to save it for a triple. Like, you want to save it. You don't want to save it for a double game week. You want to get 2 to 3 goals out of it. Both of you, I think, got a hat trick out of your triple captain. So
No, I won 6.
it's one of those ones where it wasn't. You might, but he also might get hurt in the first game and then score no goals, or whatever. So, and the double game weeks happen in December. He won't be as fresh. A lot of things could happen. So,
But anyway,
the way it worked out for both of you was fine. You want to get the
give us the current.
I'll give the
updated-
top. I got to give the top 10.
Get the top.
All right,
100.
we have about 175 people somewhere around there in our fantasy league. If you guys are
Javi would know because he started the bottom.
it's in. If you guys go to the comment section, go to our link tree. You can go into our fantasy league and you can join it at any point in time. So if you want to join it now, go ahead and join it. We have about 175 people. Joe, go ahead.
So we'd like to prop out a few folks. Got to prop out the top 10. Currently in the 10 spot. You might know this individual. Never walk alone 90. George Chomakov on 298 points. Top 10.
God,
Snaps.
I was 4th.
Yeah, well, you aren't anymore.
Closer to the relegation battle than you are to the top.
Yeah.
But you are
That's
higher
fine.
than both of us, so that's good. 9th spot, slotted, 300 points. 8th, the Konate Kid.
I like
Good
that.
name.
That's a good name.
7, Honest Lot. Honest Lot is how it's spelled. Honest Lot.
Love it.
So good. So good. These games are great, and they get better as we go up. 6th place, Chicken Tikka Masala. 5th place, Xerxes Jerks Me.
Might have to bleep that one out.
4th, the GOAT team. 3rd, 40-year-old Virgil. 2nd place, Knicks Tape FC. And then top spot for the week, his name, it's hard to pronounce, Darlo Punez at 320 points. And I can almost guarantee you that every single person I just named has Holland on their team.
Probably.
And probably Salah.
Yep. So.
All right, what about that? We also got to give a shout out to the worst performers. And you don't have to go top 10, but let's go at least like maybe
Bottom
top 3.
few?
Yeah.
Bottom 3. We got Class on Grass. You've gotten the amount of points that some people have gotten in one game week so far this season with 61 total points on the season.
Can you click
But
on their
I
team,
think
though?
I just did.
No, but they might
just-
have joined late.
That's exactly what they
Oh.
did. They joined late, so they have They got 61 points this week. So
Oh,
It's not bad.
Class
damn.
on Grass, they clay climbing fast.
damn. Well, I take it back.
172nd place, Ponte Las Pilas Pod.
Hey, PLP as our
yeah.
boys. They joined in late too.
You know them
Yeah, those are the ones that run
Oh.
the podcast.
in California.
Yeah.
And then Ernesto OMW2FYB. I don't know what that means. Probably something messed up, and I just said it out loud. 171st.
That's funny. Do you know what that stands for? I read it in my
I
head.
didn't even. I didn't hear.
OMW
Oh, on my way.
FYB, right?
To fuck you.
That's funny.
Got it.
That's funny, isn't it? All right, go ahead.
Then we got, I guess I'll do the bottom 5. We have Bulls, 141 points, and then Man Dog, 169th
Man Dog.
place.
Poor man dog, man.
Down at
Wait,
the
that's
bottom.
not bad. 140 points. That's only 50 points away from top 10.
No.
No, wait.
All right, hold
Top
on. You
10
missed the
is-
most important person though. Where's Coach Javi Academy?
Top 10 is 298 points. So you're like doubling them. Coach Javi Academy. So we've got, I'm in 17th place on 292.
Damn, you're 7 points away from me. Damn, Joe.
And I still got them chips, baby. Javi.
I think I'm like 50 something. It's a good check in the 50s.
Javi.
Check in the late 50s, early 60s.
59th with 260 points. Fofana got you a clean sheet this week. And you had Raul with the goal. Look at you, big dog.
Wow.
See, that's why I like
Having
I play this with the
Calafiore
heart.
is a
Play this with
wasted
the heart.
pick, and having Darwin's a wasted pick.
Yeah, but I can't trade everyone every week. And
You
this
have
week,
5
this week
trades.
I free. What do you mean I have 5 trades?
You
Not
get,
every
add
week.
up.
you get one transfer every week, and if you don't
Yeah.
use it, it adds up. So you should be up to 5 total transfers by now. That you
No,
could have
I've
used.
been transferring players every week.
And you just
That
left
makes it worse.
He just left Calafiore the whole time.
No, to be fair, this
You
week,
transferred in Calafiore?
this week, here's the problem. You want to wait until like right the night before, just because of injuries and all that stuff. But the problem with me is waiting the night before is I forget, and something like I'm like shit. The game I was watching the first game of the weekend, and I was like, crap, I didn't update my team. I would have transferred somebody out.
Oh, well.
But
You
I
saved the
didn't.
transfer, though. That's good.
But I'll take top 60.
Hey, it's an interesting year. And having Salah and having Holland is appearing to be crucial. So if you
Yeah.
do not have them, find a way to get them before the price gets out of reach for you. Just so you guys know this too, based on people like the most transferred in players, their price goes up, and the most transferred out players, their price goes down throughout the
That's
season.
why some of my guys were 0.1 or 0.2 up.
Yep.
higher.
But the hard part is if you transfer out one of the players, so if the player goes up, let's say from 10 to 10.2, and you sell them, you don't get 10.2 for selling them. You only get 10.1. You get half of what the value increased by when you sell.
What are these rules, man?
Yeah,
But
who
by the
invented
way,
these rules?
I will say Isak has failed me tremendously in the first 5 weeks. 4
Same here.
weeks.
And now he's injured. But he'll probably play.
It's useless guy,
But
man.
just a reminder, join our league. Look in the comment section down below or up somewhere. It's not. I never actually put it up here. So, but just join our league, and
Click the link
you
right
can join at any time. The more people, the better. We are giving out prizes for the winners. We have a couple jerseys, different sorts of things for the top 3, I believe, and then yeah. So
This league is stupid. You need to be able to click on people and talk to them.
yeah. So Premier
I
League.
thought
needs
you were going to start,
add a function.
whatchamacallit.
But we don't
Georgie
have contact.
says he's gonna do a lot of things that he
Yeah.
never does.
But we can't even talk to them. I thought we can put the Discord name into the channel, like in the chat, and then everybody can be like, oh, okay, let's go there.
Right.
But how are we?
There's got to be a way.
There's no way you can't talk to them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
there's
it
gotta be
wouldn't
a
make
way.
sense.
But who knows? We'll move on from that. Let's talk really quickly about some international football, specifically the United States men's national team and the Mexican national team. United States played against Canada first, and then they played against New Zealand. And then Mexico played against New Zealand first, and then they played against Canada. Mexico, obviously with Javier Aguirre and Rafa Marquez as the coaches now, smacked New Zealand 3-0 in what was the best game of football I've seen the Mexican national team play in a very long time. Now, granted, it was against New Zealand, and not very good. Chris Wood is your best player by far. They have guys who are playing in the second or third division in Austria on their national team. So take it for what it is. However, we looked really good. And you can't say that for the United States men's national team because we went to go watch the game against New Zealand, and it was the worst quality of professional football I've ever seen in my life. So as far as Mexico goes, I'm just going to say it's a good start. And we tied Canada. And Canada is now officially a respectable opponent. Very respectable opponent. Whereas 5 years ago, Canada was a team that Mexico and the United States should be able to take care of. Respectable opponent. They have Jesse Marsh. They have Alphonso Davies. They have a few other players that are really good.
Bombito? Is that his name?
Who?
What's his name? The defender?
Bombito, yeah.
Bombito, right?
Bombito? I don't know.
But
Sounds right.
they're good. And Mexico tied them when I didn't watch the game. I can't remember what I was doing, but I couldn't watch the game for some reason. And they drew 0-0. Oh, because we were at that's why.
USA game, yeah.
But they drew 0-0.
Should have just stayed home and watched the Mexico-Canada game.
Yeah. So Mexico in a really good spot right now. I think our biggest problem is just going to be our player pool. We just don't have enough quality players playing at the highest levels that are game changers. I think that's where we still fall short to the United States because the United States has a couple players that, like, if they were Mexican, I'd take them in a heartbeat. But we're in a better spot than the U.S. is now, and looks like there's a shift back to Mexico being at the top or second underneath Canada, let's say. But Canada, like I said, is respectable. United States men's national team, Georgie. Your boy Poch, who's clearly one of your favorite coaches of all time. All right, you loved his work at PSG and at Tottenham. You've told me this many times. What does he need to work on for the United States men's national team, and how far realistically can he take them? Because he said success for them at the World Cup is winning the World Cup. They need to believe that they can win the World Cup.
Yeah, he's lost the plot. Yeah, he should just walk away now. But I did like what he said. It's it was like 2 weeks ago now, but he did say he's in it for the journey or the whole. Because I remember a few weeks ago when we talked about Poch coming to the U.S., we're talking about, is he going to buy into the whole system or is he just going to be there for just the national team? And the way his first interview, it felt like he's in it for the whole thing. To me, it felt like he's like interested in kind of working the whole system and trying to improve everything. In terms of what he needs to do is he needs to go to different countries and figure out who has American parents or some way he can get these people passports, citizenship, and get them to play. But no, it's going to be tough for him, no matter what. I think that there's some good pieces. I think there's some good players. It's just trying to change the work rate, how much they care, the passion, bring all that back. Because right now, when we went to watch that game, that was just terrible. Like, there was just no care. There's no movement. As soon as the center defensive mids or anywhere midfield they got on the ball, the attacking players are just walking around. Nobody cared.
There's no passion.
There's literally no passion until Pulisic came on, and you can tell he was miles apart from everybody else. The movement on and off the ball completely different to anybody else. So Christian Pulisic did say in an interview that he hopes that with the new regime, obviously, that they can change the culture because there's an attitude problem. Or he said something of the sort of like, there's a culture that needs to be changed or whatever. With Thierry Henry today, did you see that?
No, I didn't.
And Thierry Henry got kind of like upset because I think he wanted the job.
Right.
So I think something was.
But then I saw that DeMarcus Beasley was like, well, the problem is right there. Like, why did that attitude and that culture ever change? Like, why has it gotten to this point?
Well, was it ever not that? Like, it's not like we've ever been great and won a bunch of stuff.
No. But not the winning necessarily, but the attitude and like the work
we'll
rate.
Always fight. We'll always be there.
I think
we'll
that's
go.
it. Like, right. Like, DeMarcus Beasley is spot on because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when you played the U.S., nobody ever thought, U.S. is going to win. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody always thought it's going to be a hard game. Well, Americans are known for working hard, not stop running, physicality. That game is always going to be there. Now you have players that are more technical, and you're losing the fight, that edge that gives you. It's like you're playing against Manchester City. You're not gonna outplay Manchester City, but if you're a team that has the work rate to be able to cover the ground, to be able to at least pass somewhat, you might have a chance. When now the U.S. they're losing that edge in terms of like the work rate,
it's always like trying to get
determination and all that.
11 really technical players on the field opposed to having, like, Liverpool's a prime example of it. You have, like, don't get me wrong, they're all professional footballers, so they're all very insanely technical, but there's levels to it, right? That you have a lot of players who are going to do the dirty work and grind and win the ball back and play defensively and do that, and then find your technical players. All right, now let's go.
Balance.
You need that balance. That's a good way to put it. To me, it's like it's a pendulum shift of like all we ever had was what you were just talking about was the work rate, the fight, the never die, never give up mentality, right? And it worked out well then because some of our really technical players, like Dempsey, for example, also lived that.
Yeah.
But then the pendulum shifted. Oh, it's a golden age of U.S. soccer. Everyone's playing in Europe. Look at Weah. Look at McKinney, look at Tyler Adams, look at Musa, look at Pulisic. And then it almost, I think, swung to your point of like, oh, we're so good now we can just play with anybody, which is an arrogant thing to think, and it's just not true. And when we finally in tournaments go up against teams who can also play, we get destroyed. Like Netherlands is a prime example of that, who is a good opponent, but not great and top tier. Team that I think, man for man, we should be able to compete with. And they walked us off the field at the World Cup, because they had both. They had the technical ability, but then they also had the people that are going to get into tackles and do a specific job and do it well. So I think we need to find a few more players, but I also think if done right, and if Pochettino can bring out the best in the players that we do have, we can compete.
Yeah.
And I don't know about go as far as win the World Cup. I love where his head's at, and I think that's the message you have to put out there.
Of course, you have to say that.
But we've got a lot of work to do between now and 2026 to have a chance, I think, at winning the World Cup. But a semifinal, that's in the cards, I think. And that, I think, would change the face of U.S. soccer here for forever.
You think that's realistic, a semifinal?
I think it's realistic for a few reasons. Number one, I think the most of our top players now are at good clubs and playing enough to get that competition needed. I also think that I don't think it's a coincidence that Pochettino gets announced, last week? Yeah. And then Champions League today, Pulisic scores, Weston McKennie scores. Like, yes, there's probably some coincidence to it, but I also think these players are also looking and saying, our captain's coming out and says we need an attitude change. And I guarantee you if I'm Pochettino, you know who my first call was to in terms of the players? Pulisic. Hey, what do you think? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, man, and if your captain says we need an attitude change and I got you and I'll help you with that, he's bought into it. And Pulisic's a competitor and he doesn't want people out there that aren't going to put the work in and do it. And that might be Pulisic calling out people, I don't know, like Weston McKennie. He's gotten rumored for being lazy and things like that. Like maybe that's Pulisic calling him out, which I think is good. So, I think a semifinal is realistic. We have decent enough players that if we get hopefully a decent draw and play well, you really only have to, you should win your round of 16 game, I think, if you're at home. And then all you need to do is kind of play well and get lucky in the next game, and all of a sudden you're in a semifinal. If Russia can make a semifinal at home, why can't we?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think the reason why we got Pochettino and why everybody's so excited about getting Pochettino is because the difference between Pochettino and Greg Berhalter is that if we lose, listen, there's a lot, yes, but
just one thing.
To be clear, if you lose the match against Netherlands because you got tactically outclassed from a coach's perspective, which was clear that was one of the main issues. We got outclassed by Van Gaal. That's a problem.
Who Di Maria said was his worst coach of all time.
Who a lot of people will go out and say, the guy's an idiot. Bergwijn, right?
Well, no, that's Coleman.
That's Coleman.
Oh, sorry, that's Coleman. That's Coleman. But close.
There's
close.
been plenty of the hate.
See, they're the same. They're the same, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're both
much.
freaking terrible coaches, and they've
Sean Dyche level, yeah.
Exactly.
They're not.
No, but they're coaches that are in my opinion are extremely arrogant.
Yeah.
and have nothing really to show for it. Koeman more because he had a good career and he was a Barcelona player and all this other stuff. But if you're getting tactically outclassed by Van Gaal, that shows you just the poor level of coaching that we have.
Yeah.
So I think that's one. The fact that like when we go into these big games in the World Cup or whatever, we have a better chance of tactically matching the other team. And the other thing, of course, is the culture, the attitude adjustment of saying like, hey, Pochettino's not going to let you get away with the shit that you were able to get away with before. And there has to be a shift in the attitude going back to the old days. But now with the added element of somebody who actually knows the game of football coaching you through all of these things. Because the player pool is the player pool. You can't really change the player pool. You just have to hope that he chooses the best players to do it. I will bring this in, though, because this was an interesting thing that I read online. Rumors only, really, but a couple articles have come out. Well, I guess not that many articles because there's not that much information. But the rumor is Mauricio Pochettino has already met with a few MLS owners to discuss youth development.
I heard of that too.
So that was the question that we talked about a lot, was how involved is he going to be in the youth side of things? Because if he wants to be here long term and if he wants to set us up for success long term, he's got to focus on changing the youth system. So that's, I think, a really good thing to see, because I was worried that Pochettino was using this as a way to get back into the European club game, that if he makes it to the semifinals, teams are going to come knocking. He's going to have his bags packed and ready to go by that point. But I think it would be nice for him to show some interest in the youth side of things, because that needs a huge, huge change if we want to be successful.
And he has nothing to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
honestly,
might as well do youth stuff and try to figure that out while
well,
you sit on your ass and wait.
Watch games.
Yeah.
And have literally no competitive matches until June of 2026.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that kind of goes against, like, if you're a coach, I think you want to have those competitive matches so you can try stuff out.
Yep.
I know it's nice to just be into the World Cup and you don't have to worry about qualifying, because imagine he tries to qualify and he fails and
It's different.
whatever.
Way different.
Yeah. But like now you just play a bunch of friendlies and it doesn't have the same feel. And I'm sure they're going to try to schedule some big team friendlies and all that, but still, like, those teams are not going to take it serious either. So you're kind of at a disadvantage of, you're not going to play a competitive game going into World Cup where the whole nation is hoping that you get far. Like, it's going to be a tough task for him to, like, jump into that.
Do you guys think that there's a difference between coaches who are great at coaching leagues and coaching tournaments?
Yes.
Like, and what I mean by that, like, I think Pep is a good example. Like, I think it took Pep figured out how to coach in leagues very early, and he won tournaments because he had Messi, I think, a lot at Barcelona. But like, if you look at his time at Manchester City, I think part of his problem was he struggled at managing teams in tournaments. That's why he got bounced by Real Madrid a few times. You know what I mean? In terms of the Champions League. And so you say yes to that. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Like,
I could give you a couple examples.
And to me, Pochettino might be a really good tournament coach, because if you look at his best stint anywhere ever, Spurs to a Champions League final. When, I mean, talent-wise, I don't know if they belong there. Obviously, they won the games and got there, right? But there might be something to that in terms of, if I'm him, I'm looking at it like, this might not be a bad gig for me long-term either. If I can go somewhere, you work less. He's still making, what, I think $6 million a year. To work less, not have to be on site all the time. Literally, the first competitive match he's going to actually manage a team for is the kickoff of the World Cup. I don't know. A lot of things align here, and we'll see where it goes. But I just want to get I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on if you think there's a difference between league and tournament coaching.
Yeah, you think of people like Unai Emery. How many times did he win the Copa del Rey? Right?
You mean Europa?
And, Copa del Rey and Europa.
Yeah.
I don't know how many.
He won the
times.
Copa. He won the Copa del Rey like twice, I
times,
think, and Europa League. You think
He
of
won 4.
4 Europa Leagues?
3 with Sevilla and 1 with Villarreal.
and then you think of coaches like Harv Renard, who somehow just pops up at like
A random team.
Every tournament,
random teams,
he's at the
and like
Olympics, he's at the Women's World Cup,
and
he's
does
at the
really
Men's
well.
World Cup.
and you never hear about him other than that, though,
Mm-hmm.
right? He goes quiet other than that. And then there's like the teams that every once in a while win like the FA Cup and stuff like that, I'm sure. So
This will surprise you. This is going to be the name that surprises
here
you
we
guys
go.
the most. I think Ten Hag is a tournament coach.
Yeah.
I think Ten Hag will never win the Premier League. He can stay here for the next 500 years and spend 500 billion. It still won't win one. But just because it's too long and the style he plays doesn't belong for the league. I think in any given day, Man United can beat Manchester City on a one-off game. Yes.
Well, do you think that goes to, because I know Javi rips on him all the time of like, hey, there's no identity, there's no identity, there's no identity. If you don't have an identity, you're really hard to play against in a one standalone game because you don't know what they're going to show up and do. They could press, they could sit back, they could press, then sit back, they could sit back and press both at the same time. You never know. Yeah. Like, or is it because Ten Hag's just such a tactical genius?
No, there's been teams. Listen, I used to do the scouting when we were at DCFC, and I used to like look at the opponents and then present like the video to the guys and stuff about what they do and all that stuff.
It was always wrong.
And to be fair, it's frustrating because like at that level, like teams change stuff all the freaking time, and you don't know, like the players aren't as well known, so it's like some random guy that you don't know. And there would be a lot of times where I'd present the scouting report, right? And in the scouting report, I'd put like players that we should know, like important
watch
players.
out for.
This is like this guy is the guy that runs the midfield or whatever. Fucking show up at the weekend, the guy's not even on the bench, and I'm like, I don't know, did he get suspended or not? Like, no, the dude just whatever. Half of the time it'd be like shit, like the guy didn't get paid, so he left. Like one guy, the Mexican guy for LA Force up top.
Yeah.
Remember the older guy?
Yeah.
Was really good. And like, he's like, oh, you're like, this guy's he scores a lot of goals. He's a really good number 9. And then next week you hear that the guy is just like, yeah, he left because they weren't paying him the way what he wanted them to pay him. So he just left. But like, I would do the scouting. But back to my point, I was
the
just
worst
saying
scouting report of all time.
Honestly,
like, Jordy's
it's
taking
frustrating.
notes, watching YouTube clips of this person, and shows up. Where's he? Looking across the field.
Yeah.
But the frustrating thing about it is that some of the teams, you literally have no idea what they do. Like when I scout and I look at video, and this is what I do for the tactical analysis as well, so I look for trends, right? Yeah. I don't look at like one-off chances or things like that. I'm like, okay, how do they always build? Do they always look here? Whatever. You look for trends that say like most of the time this is what they do, and that's what's going to tell you their style of play. Yep. There was teams that I used to scout for that I'm like, I have no clue what these guys are doing. Like there's no system, there's nothing. They're just like,
that's Louis van Gaal, bro. Total football.
Honestly, Berhalter. It was Berhalter. It was Ten Hag.
So Berhalter you're saying he's a tournament coach?
No, he's neither. That's the problem. He's neither of the two.
He's an unemployed coach.
He's unemployed. But to be fair, there are some teams though that do some really creative stuff as well. Like once again back to DCFC. You remember the 1904 team?
Yeah.
1904. We used to play this team in California, who had this really creative way of shifting, which some teams have done it, but it was like they bring one of their center backs to be like a 6, and he would go play as the 6, and then he just like pop back defensively between the back line.
Like the possession was turned
which
over.
You see like the inverted fullbacks a lot, but you don't see it with a center back as much. Like imagine if Van Dijk just popped into the 6.
Yeah.
And you see it sometimes with the 3, sure, but like when you see it with 2, it's just really weird. So
I'm surprised that actually doesn't happen more often. It's like the old school sweeper stopper setup. Remember those?
Bring it back.
But no, I mean, it
Bring it
makes
back.
sense too. It's a shorter distance than having an inverted fullback get there. That if you have a ball playing center back like Van Dijk we were talking about,
pop him in there,
and then you can have your outside backs pinch in. But
crazy thing about tactics is that they recycle. Like the sweeper stopper, which everyone laughs at nowadays. Give it 10 years. And you'll see that again.
Yeah.
You'll see somebody play with a sweeper stopper where one guy is literally 10, 15 yards behind everyone else and just cleans up everything. And teams are going to struggle with how to figure that out.
Well, first of all, that never left. My boy Rahmia Hamtramck still coaches that.
Rahmia, the legend. Yeah, I've literally... I think tactics recycle because it's like matchups, right? Like this formation and this system or whatever will do really well against this one. But then you put it against a formation that like maybe has gone out of style, like a 4-4-2, flat lines, and then they struggle. But then the 4-4-2 loses to this formation, and then it's just like I remember when Conte at Chelsea started playing. He won the Premier League because he played with the back 3, and every coach in the world was like, "We're gonna start playing with the back 3 nowadays."
Yeah.
And then
sacked
Pep,
in the morning.
Well, yeah, but then Pep plays with a back 2. Sometimes where it's just like just the 2 center backs. Everybody else is freaking like Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea or some of the other teams play with a 2-3-5.
Yeah,
and they try and build that way. And it's like tactics will always recycle. Don't be surprised if you see a tactic that isn't used anymore. make its way back at some point.
Sean Dyche still plays a 4-4-2, and
Sweeper stopper. No.
look where he's at.
He's waiting for it to come back his style again, and then it's bam, top of the table.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes
Love
sense.
it. So I guess that's that. Let's go into the VAR room real quick because I have some issues with what's going on. I looked up some research. I told you guys this in the podcast. I said semi-automated offsides technology is coming to the Premier League, which should solve a lot of issues. I've heard rumors that it's been installed elsewhere and it's actually not been as successful as they've thought. That the AI generated lines that it's done have been wrong. I don't know if that's true or not. I saw some images or whatever. Crystal Palace against Leicester at the weekend. One of the goals for Crystal Palace, the guy looks like he's a foot offsides. The commentator says, "Oh yeah, he's a foot offsides." And then they draw the lines, and they draw the lines and the camera angle that they used to draw the lines doesn't have the guy who's keeping him on sides. So they literally draw a line that's like a foot in front of the striker that was supposedly offsides. And you're like, well, where's the defender? There's no defender. So my biggest problem I have with this is, I told you guys this, semi-automated technology was going to come in after the international break. Apparently, I assumed it was after the first international break. Apparently, nobody knows which international break it's supposed to come to. So they didn't even say like the one in September, October, whatever. No, it's just like after one of the international breaks.
Which is genius on their part because now you can't get it wrong. What do you mean? Exactly. We told you it's the international break. It could be the World Cup in 2026. It could be any international break, and they can pick and choose. So, absolute. We've all been posed by the Premier League again.
Bullshit. And then they have the social media page where they supposedly explain the decisions, which is a terrible idea because social media, Twitter, wherever it is that they are, is the most toxic. You can get all of the calls right and they will absolutely trash you in the comment section. All the bots will trash you and stuff. On top of that, VR is clearly getting a lot of calls wrong. So imagine the amount of negative comments that they're getting.
Probably a few. Probably similar to Georgie's Twitter.
So now it's starting. Now I'm just saying it's starting to piss me off because they're talking about they were going to introduce it this season. Now it's like by the time you introduce it, you missed a lot of situations. This one was one of them that it obviously could have helped. And I'd be fuming if I was these teams because it screws us later, but then it's going to help another team against us later on, or screws us at the beginning. It's going to help another team later on in the season somehow.
Did they ever show or come out with a clip or a photo of like the line with the guy's foot in it? Because like what we watched doesn't show that. And the only camera angle you see from the side, he looks offside, Pateta. Yeah. So they never have like there's.
They did. They showed it in like afterwards, but it's stupid because like
is he clearly onside or is it kind of like
It's he still looks offsides to me.
Okay.
They draw the lines in a way that makes him look on sides, but like you once again they can draw it in however many angles they want and do all these right angles on these lines or whatever, but they're still showing you a 2D image.
Yeah.
And you know that in the 3D image you don't know exactly how far his shoulder or his leg or whatever is sticking out from the wrong camera angles unless it's directly on the line. So they need to sort it out because I have not yet taken my refereeing courses, but I am getting close to the point of signing up.
I mean,
that I can take over.
They can't get rid of VAR though, I feel like now, because number one, they admit they're wrong. And number two, I don't know if linesmen can call offside anymore. Because if you think about it, they haven't had to really do it properly and get it right.
It's going to be hard to
years.
Go back.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny how VAR was brought in to save all these headaches?
And here we are.
And for 5 years or whatever, I don't even know how many years we have VAR. It's only adding more headache to the game rather than solving the problems.
Well, the people that make these decisions don't have anything else to do. Think about it. Like the people who are in charge of like the rules committee or whatever. If the rules stay the same, then what is your job? Right? So like you show up to these meetings, like your weekly meeting, right?
You're trying to find a way to make it important for you to be there still?
Exactly. So they're like, okay, well, what needs to change? You can't just be like, I think we're good. Like, I think we're good. So
5 years later, all right, I think it's time to fire you.
And yes, the game is always evolving, but that doesn't mean that you always need, like, I feel like a lot of these people have made rule changes just because they want to leave their mark on the game. They want to be like, I was the one that introduced, like the Arsene Wenger rule.
Even though I still think that's a good rule.
I want to be, I don't think it's a good, I think it's.
What rule?
If you're,
the whole body has to be offside.
If any part of your body's onside, you're onside. So inverse the rule now. Right now, if any part of your body's offside. So like a tie goes to the runner in baseball. That's how it is in hockey.
But But like
Just
what I'm
keep
saying
it
is
the
that
same.
these people just want to leave their mark on the game and say, I was the one that invented that rule. The Arsene Wenger rule. Joe could say it's a good rule. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good rule. I would say it'll make the game more entertaining, for example.
Yep.
Right?
More goals for sure.
More goals. Defense has to change their tactics now all of a sudden.
But would it have been more goals if they have to change the tactics?
Yeah.
Everybody would be a low block. Because you got.
I don't think so.
No. The top teams wouldn't be. They would just be much better at stepping, I think, at the right
Exactly.
time.
But
Which would
you-
be hard to get right. Which would create a new skill of line, like a back 4 or 3 that can get it really right. Because, I mean, they get it so, like, if you look at some of the way they step now anyways, some of these teams, like, get people off sides enough that it wouldn't change too much. And I think forwards would
You'll get
start
both.
changing your run a little bit more.
You'll
Did you-
get both.
But the
You-
Southampton game, did you? Now you reminded me. I posted 2 pictures of the Man United goals. Did you see the? Do you remember them? There's everybody steps up. One guy stays 10 yards behind.
Yeah.
Leaves.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
The-
terrible. It happened for 2 goals.
Jack Stevens or whatever.
Yeah, for 2 goals.
Terrible line.
2 goals.
I mentioned that
for
in the-
for Man
yeah.
United. That I have no idea what these guys work on all week because that was
Yeah.
like this guy's getting paid millions to just not stay. I don't know. That
Yeah.
was
Not
crazy.
do a very important part of his job.
That was
I think I
crazy.
agree with Joe. I agree with both of you, actually. Some teams will say, fuck it, we're going to play a low block and we're just going to sit in because we can't risk somebody getting a whole body in front of us or half a body in front of us. And then other teams will be like, well, now we're going to step even higher. We're going to press you guys even higher.
Big
and really
Ainge.
Yeah,
Big
what's
Ainge.
Big Ainge gonna do?
Give it.
He's gonna
Big Ainge is
have a
love that
line
rule.
at the bottom of the circle on the other team's half. He won't even realize they can't be offsides.
So,
Fucking no offsides.
but well,
Just play whatever you want.
but I'm just saying it just makes it might change the game like the way that they want it, but then it'll create a new problem
Yeah,
For sure.
that we're going to be debating. It's not like going to get rid of all the problems. It's just going to create new ones.
I think it would be easier to tell if someone's offside or not.
No, it won't.
Yes, there would, because there would be a clear gap in between people.
No.
Now it's
Because
like,
then
I
you're
can't
still
see where the person is.
No, it's the same.
it's the
Same
same
problem,
shit.
Oh, sure.
Because then you'll look at the guy's heel, the back of his heel, as if it was the front of his toe.
You're gonna be looking at a different position of the body part.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the same thing. Like right now, if you're a little bit in front, they're gonna be looking at that inch, and you're gonna be looking at the.
Like right now they
heel
look at the
of
armpit,
inch.
right?
Yeah.
Like right now they look at the armpit and they draw it on the armpit, right?
But that's-
and you're like, oh, it's the armpit, really? It's going to be the same thing. The only difference is going to be the back of the heel. They're going to look
Yeah,
at the
like,
last
God, so
part of his
close.
heel.
But I'm saying, but when you're running and you're moving, you're naturally leaning forward. So like in all of the shots, all the attackers are leaning forward. So it's hard to tell, like, are they really in front or are they not? That when you're leaning forward, like the only thing that would be trailing would be your feet or your arm. So you're only looking at, I think, then feet or arms. And now you're looking at what Lukaku's kneecap was offsides. That the other way, like your kneecap's not going to be offside.
Yeah, that won't be offside, but your heel will be.
You'll still-
Because
you'll
you're
have-
running.
But I think
like-
that's easier to see. That's easier to see in real time than the kneecap offsides. Is I guess what I'm saying.
But if you have the semi-automated thing, it's the same. Like that's
Yeah.
supposed to
that's true.
tell you the.
But we have a few international breaks to wait
Yeah,
for that. We should create some rules in the meantime.
2028, it's coming.
All right, so let me get into a different segment. Get out of the Premier League and all the craziness that's going on. Let's talk about question of the day. Here's the question of the day. And if you guys are watching this, I want you guys to go in the comment section and let us know what your response to this would be. I'm going to set up the scenario for you guys. Champions League final.
I'm closing my eyes.
Teams are tied. 90th minute. Ball gets crossed in and cleared to the top of the box, 25 yards out. Who would you want to be there to hit it?
Like right now playing or
Get current players or any player of all
Any
time?
player of all time.
Wow. I know his answer.
Ball pops out. Boom.
He knows my answer.
Georgie.
Stevie G.
Good one. I actually thought you were going to go somewhere different.
Who do you think I was gonna say?
Thiago.
No,
Not because he's done it consistently, but
the one Porto strike that
that
he
one
had.
beautiful strike.
Yeah.
That. All right. Stevie G. It's a good one. Joe.
I'm between two.
Me and Javi or
For sure. I know Georgie would pass it backwards.
That's exactly what would happen to you guys.
Adriano.
Disappointed by that response, to be fair.
damn.
Sir?
Who's yours?
Paul Pogba.
I'm disappointed. You're disappointed with my response?
Paul Pogba has scored some legit goals from right outside the box. In that specific, I gave you a specific scenario. Paul Pogba hits that ball, curls it, crossbar, goal.
What?
I will say
He did it in Juventus. That's what I'm thinking. I'm
He's
just
had a
thinking,
few.
like, like that scenario for me
He did the
brings
World
me
Cup final.
right back to Juventus and the World Cup final.
Yep.
Ball pops out of the box. Paul Pogba smashes it.
The other one I was gonna say,
Zidane.
Clarence Seedorf.
I just think the Zidane left foot volley Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
From the ball from Beckham, where
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Beckham? I think wasn't it Roberto Carlos? I don't even know. Against Bayer Leverkusen.
I can't remember the corner kick.
No,
Wasn't it a corner kick?
no, it was down the line, left foot.
Oh yeah.
it was left foot. It was Beckham because it was coming from the right.
Yeah,
Because
that
it was
might have
left
been.
foot.
Against Bayer Leverkusen.
Also, honorable mentions. I had Roberto Carlos,
Let's go.
but I think he would be more of
free kick.
the ball is set.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ball is set, and then he'd hit it. And then I would have said probably Stevie G as well.
Yeah. Frank, Super Frank.
Frank would have been a
Could be
good
up
one.
there. Scholesy.
Wayne
He
Rooney
scored
would
some
have been a
bangers.
decent one.
Wayne Rooney
Rooney.
would have been a good one. So let us know in the comment section down below who you
Wayne
guys
Rooney
think.
right now.
Yeah, in
did-
the charity match that he
Did you see
scored a goal.
the free
It's
kick,
like
right?
a free kick, yeah.
What a guy.
But those charity matches are funny, man, because these
Yeah.
guys are like.
I saw a
It's fun to
quote. I
watch.
don't know if it was real. It was a picture of Wenger and he dribbled past Zidane. He's like, first I went right. He went right. Then I went left and he went left. Then I went right again and he went for a hot dog.
All right, so that brings us to the last segment of today, which is the sports card segment.
Oh, dun 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 dun.
Joe, go ahead, give us the rundown on what the segment is, and then give us the.
So, I know this is everyone's favorite segment, the sports card segment. I quizzed these two fine gentlemen on the price of 2 soccer cards. And I picked those people. They don't know who it is prior to, and they just completely have to guess. And these cards' prices are all over the place, just like their answers. So, we ready?
Yep.
Awesome. We were talking a lot about
Endo. Come
Bayern
on.
Munich today. Obviously, a
Oh.
9-2 walloping of Dynamo Zagreb. Vincent Kompany came out and said, I belong here. What? Not necessarily, he didn't necessarily say I belong here, but like, I've always overcome great odds, so I'm going to do it again. So I had to go with a Vincent Kompany card to start. The price of the highest purchased Vincent Kompany soccer card is, what was the price? Georgie.
Not that high. I'm gonna say 1,000.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 800.
You were both way off. $70.
Well,
Oh, but Price is Right rules. I
Technically, you
either.
both busted. We'll give the
Yeah.
points to Javi.
I'll take it. I'll take the points however I can get them.
So we talked about Vincent Kompany. We also talked about El Capitan, Christian Pulisic. What was the price of the highest costed, or what was the price of the highest purchased, sold? I don't know. Pulisic card. Javi.
I actually think this one is pretty high. Not as high as it's going to be like in 5 years, because somebody's going to pay a lot of money for a Christian Pulisic card in 5-10 years. Because I still think he still hasn't done what maybe he can do. However, I will say it's pretty high because I think a lot of Americans are into sports cards more than anybody else, and who's better to purchase than a Captain America card? He's Captain America, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this nickname is, right? So you would go for Pulisic if you're going to get any American card. I'm going to go with 2,500.
I don't think it's gonna be that. I mean, I don't know. 1,500. I don't know.
1,500.
Yeah. No,
You're
no
both
idea.
way off again. The most expensive Christian Pulisic card sold is a rookie card that fetched an impressive $45,000.
45,000.
What in the
Yeah,
world?
it's the American market. It's an American market. Sports cards are definitely.
$45,000.
I mean, you think about it. Like
Almost a Bitcoin.
Joe's been to some conventions, right, with sports cards.
Mm-hmm.
I would guarantee that the majority of those people are American. Lots of kids, stuff like that.
Wait, he's here.
Well, yeah, but still, some of these are
The biggest
these are some
sports
of the
card
big-
the
yeah.
biggest sports card conventions are in America. There are some big ones outside of America, but yeah.
And you think, if you look at all of the top cards, a lot of people there are going around looking for a Christian Pulisic card.
Yeah.
That's crazy because I guarantee if we look at all the segments that we've done, he's probably like a lot higher than a lot of the players we've talked about. And
Higher
we've
than
talked
Roberto
about,
Carlos, higher than like the only thing, the one I think we've gone over that is
Beckham.
higher than him is Beckham.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
But again, same type of, to Javi's point, same argument, right? Beckham comes to America, brings soccer to America when he comes to the Galaxy.
Did we? Oh yeah, we did Steven Gerrard.
We did.
He came to America. He did stuff here. Why did he?
He retired here.
He retired here.
Did stuff here.
Cool. That's an
There's
interesting one.
levels to this, George.
I like that
Yeah.
because there's really no way to guess. Like, there's no way
No,
to
there's-
study this subject to like be
No.
right. It's just kind of all over the place.
Just like the sports place we went to, or no, it wasn't a sports place. The card place when we were on the way to the U.S. game.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna give them a shout out or what?
Can't remember
I
that.
think I have
Orient?
their card. I have their card. I can bring it.
Orient
We can
games
give
or
them a
something?
shout out. They were really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good people.
Really good people.
So make sure you guys follow us to stay tuned and get more episodes. I'll put Joe back on the screen so
Please
you
click
can
the
point
link.
at the invisible links that never actually pop up on screen. We got all of our. Now it's easy because now we got a link tree. So we got our link tree in the comment section down below. You can go and check out all of our links. And we still have yet to find the first Patreon subscriber.
This is
For
the
the
week.
channel.
This is the week. I think that we are up to episode 54. I think now people are waiting, like 53 episodes and under. They're not serious. But once you get to 54, is really where it starts changing. So I believe this will be the first week we will have a Patreon client.
Yep.
I believe
and,
it.
And what
It's gonna happen.
what do they get? Let the people know.
There's a couple tiers. So you could. The first one is just support. So it's just like it's like $3 a month, and you
pretty
just
much
support
you're
the
donating to
podcast.
us.
Yeah, because you like what we do. The next one, I believe, is a little bit more expensive, a few more dollars or whatever, and it's like voting rights, which means you get to decide on the topics that we talk about in the podcast. Like I'll write a list of topics. You can pick one out of the 3 or 4, whatever.
so if
and we'll
there's
bring it
one
up.
person, they dictate the whole podcast.
Pretty much. Well, not the whole podcast, but
Georgie's about to
I'll do
pay.
like a fan section. We'll do like a fan section.
VRB, fellas.
And then-
Liverpool.
And then the one after that, you get like the wind down episode, which we haven't done to this point because we haven't had any Patreon subscribers. But if we do get some, we basically, after we're done recording the actual podcast, we'll keep recording and we'll just kind of chat a little bit and get like a wind down episode of what we're doing. There's more creative stuff that we can do, but
I will
feel
say
free
that
to
one's where the
go and check
value
it out.
is because like we get pretty. I mean, it's what time is it now? It is.
If we haven't
midnight.
lost
It's
the plot,
12:15. It's late. It's midnight, and yeah,
if we haven't lost the plot by now, we definitely will lose it by
sitting up here in
the wind down
87
episode.
degree heat, just dying of
Yeah.
heat exhaustion. And hobbies.
But I truly believe as much as this channel evolves, because we didn't even talk about this, and just a quick little thing is we're officially now changed our name. Not fully officially, but went from the Next Goal Wins podcast to the Next Goal Wins TV, because I think the podcast is a part of what we do. It's not the whole thing. Next Goal Wins TV allows us to rebrand to be able to do a lot more news coverage, all sorts of stuff. So we've done that. But I do think it's important that because we started with the Next Goal Wins podcast, this is my favorite segment that we do. We should keep this going because we do also have a lot more support, not a lot more support, but a lot more like loyal fan support for the podcast than we do for like any of the other videos and stuff like that. So we got to keep it going. But you can do that by joining our Patreon, which is in the link tree, the link in the description. Okay.
You get to tell Javi and Joe what to wear.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come up with a few
as
different.
long as it's a USA
creative
hat,
ideas.
you can tell me what to wear.
But that's it. That's it for this one. We've gone on quite long enough. It's an episode. We had a lot to talk about because it's been a while since we've done one of these podcasts. So I'm glad we're back. I'm glad we're doing it again. Getting closer and closer to episode 60, which means closer and closer to episode 100, which means basically we're almost famous. We're very close to being famous. So you guys got anything else to say before I end this? No? Georgie? Nothing? Joe?
Lots of games this week. Enjoy the Champions League being back. Premier League's back. Thank gosh international break isn't here for almost another month. And see you guys soon.
Gamble responsibly.
Okay. Yeah, because he doesn't. That's why.
And continue to eat healthy.
Continue to eat healthy. All right. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace.
Messi to the